What is up, you back again with another video. In today's video, man, this is going to be a long one, so sit back, get a snack, get a drink, and we're going to be going over everything ever about Call of Duty in one video. It's going to be a long one, I know, probably about 46 minutes or so, and it's a crazy video, bro. We're going into everything from DLCs to maps to the weapons, to the way the game's played, everything. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, I'm LS. I've been playing Call of Duty for probably around 14 years. I've been a fan for probably even longer. And this video is going to be my love letter almost, or just a letter to Call of Duty, to Activision, because in this video I'm going to try to prove my point that Call of Duty needs to go back to what it used to be, not only for me but for the community. This video will be broken up into 3 parts. The first part, we will be going over the glory days from 2005 to 2012. Then part 2, we'll be going over the golden age, or the golden era, from 2013 to 2018. And then the Y era, or the Y era, which will be going from 2018 to 2024 / presently, currently. Each era, we will describe the maps released, or how many maps I should say, the type of guns, the type of games, the feelings and adventures and the stories, and then on to the next era. So the first part, or part 1, is the glory days. And from 2005 to 2012, the glory days were gloriful. Many people like to say the glory days were actually called the golden age. But I have a belief that it's not actually the golden age, because unlike most people, I don't think the first Call of Duties were perfect. I don't. And the reasoning for this is because they were some of the first Call of Duties in the series. This is the era in which we had Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, World of War, Modern Warfare, COD 4, Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and a bunch of smaller, really unreleased titles or released titles in the early years, like Call of Duty Big Red 1, Finest Hour, United Offensive, Finest Hour, I don't know if I said that before. So there's a lot of Call of Duties in this era, and there's even more. There was over 30 different CODs, including mobile games, that released in this era. But this era was only a testing phase, in my opinion. And the actual golden era, which is going to be in part 2, which we will discuss, is what the true golden era of Call of Duty. But let's get into some of the things about the glory days. Call of Duty 1 was released in 2003, and it was the very first Call of Duty ever made. Then in 2004, we had Call of Duty United Offensive. Then in the same year, we had Call of Duty Finest Hour. And then a year later, in 2005, we would have Call of Duty 2, which is the beginning of the era of multiplayer. Okay, so this begins the multiplayer-focused era. Okay, and this multiplayer-focused era goes from 2005 all the way up until 2018. Black Ops 4 would be the last MP-focused game. Call of Duty 2 had 3 multiplayer maps with a grand total of 9 maps overall. Then that same year would be a DLC for Call of Duty 2, from my understanding, from my research, which would be Call of Duty Big Red 1. Apparently, Call of Duty Big Red 1 was actually not a full release title. Then in 2006, we had Call of Duty 3 with 2 DLCs and 11 maps. And as a lot of people like to say, the era we're in now, they like to say has more content But as we go into the future of this era and the next era before the era we're currently living in, you're going to see that that is not the case. Now, I don't remember a lot about Call of Duty 1 through 3, as these games were actually before my time. I didn't start playing Call of Duty until World of War. I did go back and play those when I was growing up. Like, I had them in my PS3 and my Xbox 360 collection, the ones that were available. But, like, I didn't play them on release day. Now, in the same year, the next year after that, in 2007, we had COD 4 Modern Warfare, which actually, I'm sorry, is my first COD. I don't think World at War came before that. But COD 4 Modern Warfare, my first Call of Duty ever, is an amazing game, man. It is such an amazing game. Call of Duty 4 surprisingly didn't have a whole lot of content for it when it released, because this is the first official and multiplayer Call of Duty. This is the first Call of Duty that came out with a leveling system, a camo system, all of that, right? Had 2 DLCs, 4 maps, plus on PC that had a limited time map that was only for them, which I believe was Winter Crash, which is a fun fact. Then the next year after that, we had World at War in 2008. 4 DLCs, 10 maps, 3 zombies. The first Call of Duty to introduce zombies. Now, in this list, in this video, we're not going to be going over zombies. I don't play zombies like that, so I don't think I'm qualified to discuss zombies as a whole, right? I have my favorite zombies, and I have my favorite zombie maps, and how I like to play zombies, but I don't think that is justifiable to make a 40-minute video saying what's wrong with zombies and what's not. Now, the next year was one of the greatest Call of Duties ever made, Modern Warfare 2, in 2009. Had 2 DLCs, 10 maps. The next year, 2010, we had Black Ops 1, with 4 DLCs, 12 maps, 1 DLC map for zombies, plus 3 maps. I don't know what that node was. It's just 4 zombie maps. I don't know why I mentioned, I split it up, but 4 zombies maps as well, on top of the 12 base multiplayer maps. Black Ops 1 would be the beginning of the classic 4 DLC system. Now, some of these are going to have more than 4 DLCs, like 6, 7, even sometimes 11 DLCs. So do keep in mind that those are... I'm also counting singular release maps. So, like, for example, World War II had Carrington as a bonus map for those season pass holders. That I'm counting as a DLC because it is a downloadable pack for maps, okay? So most of these games going forward will have a minimum of usually at least 4 DLCs flat across the board, and then some have additional special maps. And then 2011, we had Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 with 6 DLCs. Actually has so many maps, I lost count. And so in my script here, I don't actually have the number of maps in Modern Warfare 3, but I think it was upwards of like 20-something maps for DLC. It was a stupid amount because the website I was going off of just had all of the maps jumbled together, and there was Spec Ops, multiplayer, and there was other maps for another mode. It was insane. But after Modern Warfare 3, we had the last Call of Duty in this era, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 in 2012. Probably one of the most overrated Call of Duties in my personal opinion. I'm going to say it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's overrated. You only like it because of nostalgia. There's a lot of issues with it. It had 6 DLCs, 16 maps, plus, the average 4 or 5 zombies maps. Now that we've kind of an idea of the history of time frames throughout this era, let's go into some more finite stuff. Black Ops 2 is actually, from my knowledge, from research, and from personal experience, the first Call of Duty to introduce DLC guns with the Peacekeeper. Now, obviously, going into Ghost, AW, and so on and so forth, we will see shit tons of DLC guns. So many, in fact, that there's probably more DLC guns in the next 10 years after Black Ops 2 than probably the first 7 or 8 years of Call of Duty as a whole. But my biggest problem with the glory days is just the way Call of Duty was played back then, right? Or just the way it was developed, I think is a better terminology for it. Because it was definitely not as skilled involving back then, or necessarily unskilled involving either. It was kind of just mid. The games weren't designed for skill. They also weren't designed for high kill games or any of that type of thing. Like, if you go back to an old COD, bro, majority of people were sniping or playing SMD, and like you didn't have a whole lot of people going crazy with like comp or even nukes. Now, obviously, as the glory days went on, from like COD 1 to Black Ops 2, things like that, like nukes, grinders like me, and competitive players, they did begin to increase throughout the years. Especially towards Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, that really just became a big thing, right? For me, Modern Warfare 2 was the changing stones for me as a player. Because before Modern Warfare 2, I was just an average player for Call of Duty. I was just playing it because it was a cool game that had guns and war, and I loved war and guns when I was a kid. I still do, even as an adult. I like the idea of researching war and taking part in being knowledgeable about that stuff. So as a kid, that was like the biggest thing ever, right? I was like, oh my god, I was playing this cool game that had guns and grenades and explosives and all that types of stuff. Modern Warfare 2 changed it for me. Modern Warfare 2 is the first Call of Duty that I hit over 1,000 nuclears. Certainly sitting at, the last time I played the game, I was at 3,000 on PS3. I really do wish I had my PS3 account to show y'all, because that account was insane. But unfortunately, I do not have my PS3 account or my PS3. That is sitting burnt to a crisp in a landfill somewhere in the country. So, rip to me. But that would be the first Call of Duty to hit 3,000 nukes, and I wouldn't hit 3,000 nukes again until the Golden Era. From this point, after Modern Warfare 2, I was kind of averaging pretty averagely about like 4 maybe 500 nukes per COD after that point. Now, for me, the biggest thing is, according to Activision's knowledge, they said in 2007, COD 4, that we've had SBMM. The reason I know they're lying is because the way Call of Duty played back in the day just doesn't fit the way SPMM is. It just doesn't fit it. It doesn't. Because getting as many nukes as I did on NB2 would just not have been possible had SPMM been involved. I was young. I was not nearly as experienced in Call of Duty as I am now. Most of those nukes I got back in NW2 were cheesy nukes, I would say. Cheesy. Like, being a little bit slower, hiding a lot more, just spamming the same meta weapon over and over and over again. So, I wouldn't say they were necessarily as skilled as some of the nukes I've gotten these days, but that would have been possible with SBMM. And I think the best thing about the glory days is it may, in my opinion, not be the golden age, the best Call of Duty's ever made, but what it did do is offer a passion and love for this game that I would never have gotten had I started in a different era. Had I started in this era, in these modern times, I probably wouldn't have been in love with COD as I am. That's why I'm doing this video, because a lot of people out there, I feel, are feeling the same thing I am. They're feeling just let down and defeated by this game, because they have allowed us to get disrespected, and it just sucks that they haven't respected us enough to acknowledge that they have done some wrong things in the game and that they are trying to fix it. Instead, they ignore it and act like it never happened. And that sucks, bro. It sucks that we, in 2024, are feeling let down, lied to, manipulated, and that is just awful. And that is why the glory days were so good, because that was an era of COD where they listened, they did what we wanted, and it felt worth my time to hop on a game. Nowadays, I'm playing games that I never would have played before. Like, I'm playing Skyrim. I never played Skyrim before, but because of Call of Duty's state currently, it's forcing me to find other games to game. Like, I played 12 hours yesterday of Call of Duty MW3, and I was brain dead by the end of the day. And that is not how COD used to be. COD used to be a game where you could stay up all night playing with your friends for like 12, 15 hours straight, and then wake up to go to school or something, and come home and get back on the game. You can't do that no more without being absolutely exhausted by the 4-hour mark. And that shouldn't be Call of Duty, bro, because Call of Duty, it was designed on fun, right? It was the whole point of it when it started. It was a fun shooter game. That's why it was designed to be arcadey, so it could be fun. And it's not fun no more. But I don't want to lunge on this fact too hard, because this is something we're going to be talking a lot about in the last part. So without further ado, let's go over to part 2. Part 2, the Golden Era. Now, this is what I'm going to catch a lot of heat for. I'm going to catch a whole lot of heat for, bro. And I'm okay with that, because most people that are going to give me heat have never been good at COD. Or they have never played these games like I have, and they have no idea. So the Golden Era will go from 2013 till 2017 or /18, because I'm counting BO4, even though I'm not really counting BO4 is in a really weird spot, because it's in this era, but it's also in the next era, so it's a little bit of both. And we're gonna go the same way from last era. We're gonna go through the history of this era, and then we're gonna go into why this era is so good. This era begins a year after Black Ops 2. And so, in 2013, Call of Duty released Call of Duty Ghost. Had 5 DLCs, 17 maps, plus the alien maps, because this game introduced a new mode called Extinction. Then, a year later, in 2014, we had Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, one of my personal favorite games of all time, and probably my number 1 favorite COD of all time, to be quite honest with you. 5 DLCs, 17 maps, plus zombies, because this introduced a new style of zombies, exo-zombies. Black Ops 3 released in 2015 with 5 DLCs, 17 maps, plus zombies. Infinite Warfare released in 2016 with a VR experience, which was one of the first Call of Duties to ever have VR. This is an experience that is, I believe, for free if you bought the game over on PlayStation 4. It also had 5 DLCs, 17 maps, plus zombies. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered was basically a remastered Call of Duty COD 4 that was released alongside Infinite Warfare, and had a remastered Verity Pack, which had the original DLC from COD 4. Then Call of Duty World War II would release in 2017 with 5 DLCs, 13 maps, plus 4 war maps, plus their zombies. And then Call of Duty Black Ops 4 released in 2018 with 11 DLC maps, plus their zombies as well. So there's a lot of zombies content in these couple of years. Now, why is this the Golden Era, LS? Because you have Infinite, Advanced, BO3, World War II, and Ghost all in the same era, bro. Explain yourself. Well, because it's the best era. It really is. Well, Ghost and AW, IW, they get a lot of hate because they're different and they're unique. But they were some of the best designed games to have ever existed. Like, if you go back and play Infinite Warfare now plays 35,000 times better than the newest game out at the current moment. Which is sad, bro, because it's a game that's like 10 years old now, almost. And I don't hold anything against EXO. Let's put that out there. I don't hold anything against it. I think EXO in longevity is a more skill-involving, higher-tiered gameplay. It takes way more skill to jump around the map and wall run and shit and get kills, and then to just bunny hop around and slide cancel around on Modern Warfare 2019. This is also the era that we see supply drops introduced, and yes, those are annoying, but what supply drops actually did for the community, people seem to not understand. Supply drops actually increased our overall content a lot. So in Ghost, we had the Ripper and the Maverick become DLC guns, plus the Maverick could switch into 2 different guns, a sniper and an assault rifle. And then AW would introduce the seasonal adding of weaponry. So we would have things like the new laser guns being added. Then we have the DLC guns, like the MP40 and the STG and the AKs and M16s and all those cool guns come in AW. And then Black Ops 3 would also have a shit ton of DLC guns. We would have like the PPSH, the XMC, the FAMAS, the fucking A94, the M1 Graham, a bunch of other guns in Black Ops. There's so many, in fact, that I don't even remember half of them. Like there were so many guns in Black Ops 3, bro. Black Ops 3 also introduced melee weapons to Call of Duty, like heavily melee weapons. Like I think we have like 20 something melees in Black Ops 3, which was absolutely insane. And I thought it was dope, bro. That was such a good idea because a lot of people meleeed in Call of Duty, but most times it was just shovel or a knife, so it really wasn't all that many options. Then in IW, we would have even more good things being added. We would have the Ripper added again. And then IW did variants alongside AW, but I think IW's variants are a little better than AW, sorry, because IW was actually had benefits to using those variants. So a lot of AW variants, people like to say all had benefit effects, but they really didn't have all that many crazy effects in AW. And I played a lot of AW. I had over 3,000 nukes in that game, hundreds of hours, and I truly didn't feel that game was so insane with their variants. But IW really felt like it was unique with its variants, especially having nuclears tied to different variants, so it could force people to use guns that they may not enjoy that actually involve skill instead of just running around with like a basic gun. I mean, sure, the basic guns had nukes as well, but you know. Modern Warfare Remastered also would release DLC guns, which would be insane because it didn't have DLC guns originally in COD 4. Things like the Honey Badger, they had a bunch of unique guns. They have like melee weapons, and then in World War II, one of my favorite Call of Duties ever made, one of the games that started this YouTube channel that I grew my channel off of. I played that game for 3.5 years with over 600 plus nukes achieved. Had introduced a ton of good weapons and also introduced a redefined salvage system after Modern Warfare Remastered salvage system. That I think World War II had the best supply drop salvage system to date so far. And yeah, it was super good. Also, I forgot to mention this about IW. IW had free content along its life cycle. So if you were a season pass holder, you got every single new DLC gun absolutely free, no extra charge to you. All you simply had to do was play the game. Like, that's it. You didn't have to play a certain amount of games unlocked. All you had to do is load up the game with season pass, and boom, all those guns, base guns, were unlocked for you. Which meant you could just play with guns. You didn't have to sweat so hard. And then Black Ops 4 also had a pretty good season. I think Black Ops 4's supply drop system was way more rigged. It gave me a lot of Black Ops 3 vibes when it came to rigging. Treyarch is really bad about not rigging their game. They're really bad at that. But that's not only why the Golden Era is so good, in my opinion. Why this era is Golden Era is because this is the era, and the last era before SBMM. But this is also the most modern era before SBMM. So this is the era that I would say you have to look towards to see what Call of Duty would be like nowadays if SBMM wasn't a thing. Okay? I don't know if any of you guys have played World War II recently, but World War II is still pretty popular in the community. A lot of people play it. And that game is so much fun because it's so much more basic. And there's no crazy sliding. There's no crazy bunny hopping. There's no SBMM, no EOMM. There's none of that, and it's completely random, completely fun for you as a player, and that's what's important to me in the Call of Duty, not anything else, right? I don't care if they got mastery camos, they got nukes, I don't give a fuck. As long as it's fun to play and I can actually get good games and I'm not sweating my dick off for 25 kills, then that's a good game in my opinion. The Golden Era would only last for a few years until the Part 3 era would hit, but the Golden Era is an era I often go back and play in. I don't go downstairs on my Xbox and buy Game Pass to play the Glory Days, but I go on my PS5 and I download the Golden Era CODs and play the Golden Era CODs because they're just better in every fathomable way. I really do think from Ghost to Black Ops 4, we were treated so well. But the community did nothing but whine and bitch and complain 24/7, and unfortunately, that ruined a lot of our chances for the future. Now, some things that people like to say about the era that I'm talking about now, which is the golden era, a lot of people like to complain that it was not true to Call of Duty. Well, the thing is because Call of Duty really didn't have a true self before this era. Because, again, you have to remember, the original era only went from 2005, or 2005, I'll say more 2003 if you're talking about the first three CODs as well, to 2012. That's only a couple years. Call of Duty was still just figuring things out. The Modern Warfare era had just finished. The Black Ops series had just finished. They were still figuring things out on what they wanted to do. And this whole era was about them figuring that out. They were testing different things, testing the waters. So, honestly, that is the most truest to Call of Duty era that I can think of. Because it's Call of Duty, at the end of the day, it really is just about figuring out what works and what doesn't work. I liked EXO, but obviously it did not work because they have not touched EXO since. So, to me, that was them figuring out that EXO didn't work. And that's what Call of Duty is all about. Trying new things, trying new ideas, and then where it goes is where it goes, right? Unlike the modern day era, which you like to say should be considered the most overused era, as every game in this time period has been a rework of the last title. MW3 is just a rework of MW2. MW2 is a rework of Vanguard. Vanguard is a rework of Cold War. Cold War is a rework of MW 2019. They all work off each other, right? That's why all the teams, the Call of Duty teams, are working on the same titles together. They're all working as a team on each title. They're not doing their own titles separately. The Golden Era is also one of the largest eras for content. We had seasonal updates, DLCs, DLC weapons, DLC weapons that you had to buy with real money, not just the supply drop weapons. We had mastery camos like Dark Matter, Solar, Black Sky, Exclusion Zone, Dark Matter 2.0, some other ones. There's some other small ones, Royalty from Advanced Warfare. The gold camos from Ghosts were like their masteries equivalency. And so there was so much content back then that people just completely ignore because it has a name that they don't want to be associated with. It's okay to like these games, bro. It's okay to like AW. It's okay to like IW. It's okay to like Ghost, man. You're not alone. A huge chunk of the community likes those games. They're just not willing to say it out loud, which I am willing to say, right? I would rather buy IW, Ghost, or AW over any other title in the franchise any day of the week, right? It's nothing against the Glory Day era, but those I can't sit here and be like those games were perfect when a lot of those original Call of Duty multiplayers, like the Modern Warfare series and the Black Ops series, had tons of issues, and that's okay because it was still early in its infancy. Now, one of the biggest things about the Golden Era that I think a lot of people are mad at is the fact that we were wrong. I think that's why people don't want to admit how good those games were. Because they're wrong. Because those games weren't bad. And if they admitted that those games were good, that would be detrimental to just the way they think. Because they would have to admit they were wrong, right? To anyone that's watching this video saying, bro, you're stupid, bro, go back and play those games with an open mind. Seriously, go play back and play them without thinking about how they released or how you felt when they released or your anger or whatever. Go back, put on the headset, play it, maybe find someone that likes the game, like me, and sit down and play the game with them. And then you'll see that the games weren't that bad. They were quite good. In fact, probably better than most titles released now. And yeah, that's just crazy, man. Also, by the way, I don't know if you guys will hear in the background, there's a cat. I think there's a cat outside my window just meowing. I don't know if the video will pick it up, but yeah, that is my opinion of one of the best eras, which is the Golden Era. We're going to head on to part 3, because I don't want this video to be 40 minutes of me talking about the Golden Era, even though it could be. So let's go into part 3. Part 3. The era of the bro why. Just why era. This is from 2018 to to 2024. Black Ops 4 released around the same time as the beginning of this era. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to start this era actually at 2019 with Modern Warfare 2019. Drop with 16 maps throughout its life cycle. But also introduce Warzone. And that's why I also call this era the Warzone Cancer Era. Warzone Cancer Era, or the Bruh Y era, is basically the era in which Call of Duty began its whole concept of battle royales. Black Ops 4 had a battle royale, but it wasn't the main focus of Call of Duty. It wasn't like the main concept, right? Now, one big thing about the Bruh Y era is it wasn't going to be bad at first, I think. When I saw the trailer for Modern Warfare 2019, I thought it was actually going to be a really good era. I thought this was going to be like the next step in evolution for Call of Duty. And boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. We're gonna go into that in a second. Let me focus on the this era makes me so triggered. So let me recenter myself here. So after Modern Warfare 2019 was released, we had the Modern Warfare 2 remastered story in 2020. Then that same year we had Cold War with 20 maps plus their zombies. Now these are just the maps that released after the day one launch. So these are season 1 up maps. Then we caught Vanguard in 2021, 16 maps plus their zombies. COD Modern Warfare 2, 2022, had 16 maps plus their raid seasons as well as their version of Spec Ops. Modern Warfare 3, the current game, is sitting at 4 in the game at the recording of this video, but we are getting at least 2 more maps day 1 of Season 2. So we'll have a grand total of 6 by the time you're probably watching this video, depending if I upload it the day I'm recording it or not. And then we also had the zombies for this game as well, but I'm not really counting that because it's only really one zombies map. The rifts or whatever, just the same map. So yeah, that's all the maps. And also one quick note: from 2005 to 2018, the maps we had were 2017, not 2018. From 2005 to 2017, we had, that was about 13 years, we had 170 DLC maps. From 2018 to 2024/present, we've only, for just 5 years, we've only had 80 DLC maps. So the people that say there's more content in this era, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're literally wrong. You have more guns, yes, but you're wrong because the maps it's proof right here. Now, yes, it is a shorter amount of time, but if this era has more content than the previous era, then this era should have more maps already than that era, but it doesn't. Because they're not actually giving us more content. They're giving us like 1 DLC pack, maybe 2, every year with the game, instead of 4. If they were giving us 4 DLC map packs every year for every title, we should be getting like upwards almost 4 DLC maps a season almost. To be equivalent to that. Now, why is this era so bad, Ellis? Well, 2019 would be the first Call of Duty to introduce the EOMM and SBMM systems. For anyone that doesn't know what SBMM and EOMM, I have videos up talking about them, I think, on the channel. But basically, if you haven't seen those, or if I haven't uploaded those yet, basically all they are is systems to rig your game for you. So SBMM finds the most sweatiest match that is equivalent to your skill level. So it's really annoying. EOMM, though, is the biggest problem. That is the system that can nerf you in-game. It's such a complicated matter, but basically it just nerfs you in-game. It can also rig your game. It controls your matchmaking. It controls your entire gameplay experience, to be quite honest with you. But it also introduced the era of seasonal updates. So instead of being season updates before. So before we had season updates like winter. I think we had like a winter Christmas themes era. Then we would have a Halloween, maybe a St. Patrick's Day, maybe a Chinese New Year, and that's when those big update like weapon drops and that would come out. But in this era, this new era that we're in now currently, they pretty much got done with that style, and they became a new thing called seasonal updates, which are basically seasons. Now, most Call of Duty's released in this era was 6 seasons per its life cycle. Once that 6th season hits, you usually start getting information on the next title, and by the end of the 6th season, the new title is ready to go. Now, this era has also brought in the idea of an item shop. So before, they would have like COD packs you could buy. They would have like a couple camos, maybe a couple guns or whatever, COD points. But now we get into the era where we get full-on item shops with skins, bundles, and types of stuff. We'd also see this era introduce something called battle passes from Fortnite. Yes, from Fortnite. Yay, Fortnite. We all love Fortnite. But they would also introduce battle passes, and so this is something that we like to think is a good idea, but in actuality, battle passes are probably hurting Call of Duty more than it's actually helping it, simply for the pure fact that battle passes limit the amount of items you can get in a season, because they don't want to give you the best items in the battle pass, but they also don't want to give you nothing in the battle pass. And so a big thing that happens with battle passes, as you see it a lot, is they often either hold back and they don't really release that much good content, or they release a bunch of good content, but the next couple of battle passes suck. Before, when they added stuff in the Golden Era or the Glory Era, it was good content usually year-round. It wasn't mid-tier all-round. It was always pretty good. This is also the era of the weird-ass movement that we have now on Call of Duty. Now, doubt it, I'm someone who can get a pretty normal adjusted to any type of movement. I can figure it out. Give me like a week or so in custom and I'll have it down packed. But what I don't understand is why this movement exists. So this movement that I'm talking about is slide canceling and bunny hopping. This is a movement that wasn't popular until 2019. BO4 bunny hopping was pretty popular, I'd say, but then we had like this era which has been just toxic. This is also the era in which ranked play became completely ransacked full of non-skilled bitches who just want to ban every gun and ever to exist, pretty much. And it's just a really bad era, bro. Like, there's so many issues with this era, and I don't understand how people don't see it. Warzone has been sucking the life out of Call of Duty for the last 5.5 years, and it is ridiculous that right now in the industry it is still acceptable. If you think about it, right, when was the last COD you truly enjoyed? I bet you majority of people would say, Black Ops 3 or whatever. Isn't it ironic that most people's titles that they say the last truly good title was before Warzone? The people that usually say Modern Warfare 2019 was one of their favorite Call of Duties are probably someone that plays nothing but Warzone or likes that really slow, campy, slide cancel movement. Because ironically, I think even though the movement was fast in MW 2019, I felt it was more campy than some of the slower pace. Like MW 2022, I enjoyed that game thoroughly. I put over 1,000 hours in that game. I don't feel like it was campy as hard as, say, this game is with the movement. This game is more campy with the movement than without the movement. That's a problem. And so, at the end of the day, I'm almost running out of time here, so I want to close up the video. Thank you guys for watching this whole video through if you're still watching. I know it's kind of different, but this has been something I've been wanting to do for a while. But this next part is for you, Activision. Please, I beg you, stop and think about your community. Seriously, stop and think. Your community has been asking you to get rid of SBMM and EOMM. So stop denying it exists. Just stop saying it exists. It does exist, alright? Stop saying it doesn't. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, we know it exists. I've read the patents myself. I have the patents on my Discord that show that they've been approved by the US government, that you use them, everything. Okay? Stop denying them. Remove it. Let our game be completely random, like it used to be. Not this whole, it's been since 2007. It hasn't. Stop lying. Stop capping, boy. Stop capping, boy. But let us play completely random for at least 3 months. Show us that your SBMM and EOM systems actually benefit the game. If you prove it benefits the game, then keep it. But the problem is you won't prove us wrong. You just keep denying us. You're like, it's insane, bro. Please. Because as a COD fan, I just want to play the game, bro. I really do. I just want to play the game with my friends. I just want to have fun, and I don't want to have to, rage my head off because, like, some guy wants to sit in a corner in Hearthscope, I don't want to have to do that shit constantly or deal with that shit constantly. And it's ridiculous, man. And you're seeing some kills in this gameplay where I've been shooting people and they just don't die, bro. Like, that is EOMM. There's nothing else to say right there. That is completely EOMM and is annoying. Please remove it. It's so depressing to have to deal with SBMM all day, every day. I guess this video really is just me mumbling for 40 minutes, but that's okay. This is stuff that I wanted to get off my chest for a while. And maybe once I make this video, I'll be a little more at peace with myself playing. I won't need to rage as much because I've gotten it off my chest. But let me know down below what you guys think about this video. Do you guys agree about my eras? Do you guys have a different era? Don't come in the comments just to tell me that IW is trash, because I'm just going to remove your comment. Like, if you're going to say those games are bad, try to have an actual opinion other than some regurgitated YouTuber comment. That's the only thing I request in the comments. Just don't spam with IW is trash because it's cool to do. It's not. It's lame, and you're getting removed. Have legitimate opinions with valid answers. And we can have actual dialogue in the comments, which would be really unique for the Call of Duty community. At the end of the day, I love Call of Duty. I know there's issues with this game and this franchise and the developers. The developers are lazy. It's not a hidden fact at this point that they're lazy. It took them a month to fix a DLC gun that they released, which is insane in my opinion. And that's okay, man, because we love this franchise, and I think a lot of people tell me, why do you buy the franchise? It's because I love it so much. That's the honest truth. Because I love this franchise makes me want to buy it, even when it's bad, because I feel that supporting the franchise will eventually be a payoff in some way, in some form. So with that being said, man, I'm going to end this video because it's already been fucking so long already. I love you guys. You're awesome, and I have more content coming. Season 2 drops here in like 2.5 days, 3 days, so that's super cool. I have other series that I want to continue. I've just been so busy writing this script. So, yeah, I love you guys, and you're one of a kind. You're beautiful. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends, because maybe you guys will have these really interesting conversations that you never thought you could have because of this. So, who knows? And, yeah, I love the golden era. I love the glory days. I just wish those were here, and fuck SBMM and EOMM. Go away. No one likes you, you two. Go away.